Good evening, District 5. I am so glad to see so many people here tonight. Welcome. If you haven't signed in yet, please do sign in, get food. We'd like to start with a reminder of for everybody who's going to be speaking today, whether that's you're presenting or you have a question or a comment, please speak into the microphone. You'll notice that I am practically eating this one. And it's because if you don't, the people on Zoom will not hear you. Your comment will not get recorded into our minutes and the data will get lost. So please speak very close to the microphone if you are speaking. We'd like to recognize some of our wonderful public servants here. Mayor Michelle Kafusi. I saw Councilor Bogdan and Councilor Catrice McKay. Thank you for being here tonight. We also want to recognize that we have a new representative from the Franklin neighborhood, Britton Johnson. Unfortunately, he is sick and is not here with us. And just wanted to start with an announcement. If any of you here are residents of the Mountain View condominiums or the Meadow Park apartments, tomorrow at this same time at 6, there is a meeting at Franklin Elementary School regarding the front runner track expansion that you really should go to. We'll talk more about that later, but I wanted to make sure it was announced. Oh, I believe I also missed Councilor Whipple and Councilor Garrett. Thank you for being here, all of you. We will proceed in this order with our planning items. First, we'll have a presentation on a proposed zone map amendment by Craig Collette in the Maeser neighborhood. When that is done, we will have a presentation on another zone amendment from Corbin Church in the Timp neighborhood. After that, we'll have a presentation from Brett Nelson for a proposed zone map amendment in the Maeser neighborhood. And finally, we'll have a information presentation on the MTC administration and cafeteria rebuilds in the university neighborhood from Andrew Feinberg. And we will go to that point.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Councilor Craig Christensen is also on Zoom. And this first item in the Maeser neighborhood, it is still in the review process. So what you see tonight may change before it goes before the Planning Commission and City Council.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Craig Collette. So this is the property I've got. It's at 200 South, 820 East. It's just right there by Harmon Park. I bought the house last year, at the end of last year. It was originally built in 1962, and it's had 2 additions since the original build, at least 2 additions. Over the years, they've converted it into 3 separate living apartments. So with that comes a kind of an awkward flow. But it's a beautiful property, and I've really just fallen in love with the area and the home. Some beautiful trees all around, which we just don't have a whole lot of. So it's been nice to have. I've been doing my best to make it as nice a house as we could make it. We've really tried to clean it up. If you live in the immediate area, hopefully you've noticed. Unfortunately, I'm told that the seller, she was in her 90s, and the house just kind of got run down, and the yard got a little bit ahead of her, if that makes sense. So I've taken down 6 dead trees, and there's 3 more still to go. But if you go and see them, you'll see they're ginormous trees. So this is the zoning. You can see that we're in an R16, and then the hashes are an ADU overlay. And then just wanted to show you a little bit more of what's right next to us. So this property that I'm referring to is this red property, and right next to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and then the Provo City Fire Station is off on the corner. The green is the Bentley Apartments. And then there's the yellow, and then there's kind of this light green color that I've got. Those are LLCs or rentals. Does anybody live right here in the immediate within a block or anything? Okay. So this is the survey of the property. Again, it's 0.71 acres. And our hope is to build some 16 beautiful townhomes on it. Our hope would be to make them so that they're all owner occupied townhomes. There'd be 3-bedroom units, 2.5 baths with a 2-car garage, roughly 1,800 square feet each. In total, we'd end up with about 42 different parking spaces. That would be, they included the 2-car garages plus the additional 10 spaces. So it ends up being 2.62 parking spaces per unit. This is just a quick little mock-up. So there's a front and a back. The front would be where you'd have the front doors on the street side. So this is what you'd be seeing. We'd be building a beautiful little half wall. And then there would be alley access or rear loaded. So there will be a few that will have the front doors on those. So those are the kind of the different. Our hope is that it really is a beautiful little space, well done, that we can bring anchors to the community, bring people that will come here and really help build and establish the area. Now I've got one little dilemma. When I bought this property, I bought it because it's in a opportunity zone. This is the federally outlined opportunity zone locations. And the benefits of the opportunity zone is the feds have come in and said, hey, this is an area we'd really like to see uplifted and improved. But in doing so, they want me to hold the property for 5 years. So I would hold the property. I'm seeking an MDR rezone, which would give me a medium density zoning designation. My hope with that would be that it would turn the house with 3 kitchens into a legal triplex. I would hold it for the next 5-ish years. And then after that 5-year term is over, then I can begin building the townhomes and sell those to owner occupants and get the benefits of the opportunity zone. So that's really everything I got. There's the location of it within the opportunity zone. So any questions? Please.
There's a question on Zoom. They're typing it right now.
Okay.
But I'm just saying this out loud so the person who hears it on Zoom knows I will ask it for you.
Anything else while we're waiting? They've told me I got to be quick. Please. Sorry, so the individual townhomes.
You want me to repeat it? Okay, you just said that you plan to have it owner occupied, and I wondered what was your plan to make it owner occupied?
Okay, great question. When I'm saying owner occupied, it would be the end result, which would be the townhomes.
I understand that. I
Sorry.
guess I'm just wondering, does that really mean you're going to sell those off individually and then anyone can buy them and then rent them as they see fit? Or how do you mean for that to be actually keeping it owner occupied in perpetuity?
Yeah, great question. I think that's really the feedback I'm getting from the city is that the city wants all the townhomes to be owner occupied. If that's the case, then there would have to be some type of thing in the title.
Deed restriction.
Yeah, deed restriction. Sorry, I went blank.
So sort of to that point, what I've seen in city council meetings lately is something where they ask the developer to put a deed restriction that as the property is sold, or I should say as each unit is sold, that it has to be owner occupied for the first year that it's owned. Would you be willing?
Yeah, I think if that's what the city council and the neighborhood wants, then that would be great. My hope is to build something beautiful. I've got 2 college daughters right now, and I'd love to have something that my kids could afford to live in the city. Please.
Okay, I have two on Zoom now. So first, will you be providing parking for the tenants? Our neighborhood is notoriously crowded. This could add more congestion to already narrow streets.
Yeah, it's a great question. And my hope is that we'd have more than adequate parking. Every one of the red squares would have a two-car garage. So that'd be 32 units there, and then we'd have some additional visitor parking.
Thank you. Okay, next one. I live in this neighborhood. There are multiple homes in this neighborhood that are illegally rented out despite the zoning. I want to know how owner occupied will be enforced.
That's a great question. I mean, I would be building them and trying to build beautiful units that would be sold to people that would be on a deed restriction of some sorts. I think it would be up to the city after that.
Just as a side note to that, anybody who's worried about enforcement of zoning should talk to Abinadi right here. He is our district's code enforcement officer. So please talk to him. If on Zoom you can't see him, he just waved his hand. He's over here in the corner. Talk to Abinadi. Maybe we can put his office number in the chat there. Thanks.
Okay, so Sharon and I are over here wondering, the parking lots on, I'm gonna assume that's the east and west, is that your property?
No, great question. This is the church on the west. So that's the Seventh-day Adventist church parking lot. And this is Provo City parking lot for Harmon Park.
Oh,
the- on-
okay,
on
that's
the
the
other
one
side.
on the west side of Harmon.
Yes.
Okay, so when we look at 42 parking spots, what are we looking at? 2 spaces in the garage, 2 spaces in the carport, and then those 1, 2, 3, 4,
Should be
5
10.
and on the south?
So. You see two.
Oh,
here,
Sharon's counting 10.
2, and then these 6. And then this would be the trash pickup.
Okay, so we're looking at 2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway, and then those others? So are you building like storage sheds for these people? Because normally garages turn into storage.
No additional storage sheds, no.
What are the amenities that you're going to offer in this development?
I don't know that we're gonna have any additional amenities. We're gonna probably do a little bit of green space and some type of playground. But we are just right across the street from the park. The park's right here. Great questions.
Any other questions? Yes.
Somewhat rhetorical perhaps, but are you aware of what the neighborhood plan calls for this plot?
It's an R16.
R16 is the current zoning.
Yeah.
There's a neighborhood plan that was approved 8 years ago, I believe, that also talks about what the envisioned future land use would be, and that's also in that plan. And this plot was at that time and approved by the city council at the time.
Yeah.
The future land use was also for single family
Correct.
detached. So this would be a deviation from what the community put together as a plan for this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, another one from online. We are also worried about too much density. Do you have alternative plans that the neighbors could review for design? We think your design is lovely as is, but more information on the design would be great. And then part 2, the same person. We also love your mature trees. Will any of them be preserved?
I want to do my best to preserve all the trees in the back. And then there's a big, huge blue spruce or some type of pine. I don't know my trees really well, but that's what you'd be seeing there in the front. I'd like to keep that as best I could. What was the other part of the question?
The other part was just, do you have alternative plans the neighbors could review for design with less density? We think your design is lovely as is, but more
Yeah.
information on the design would be great.
I mean, my hope is to help bring more housing to the city, which I feel like desperately needs it. Again, I've got 5 kids and they're getting to that age where they're wanting to look at housing, and it's just so crazy expensive here. And so my hope is to just build some more homes and add to that. There's not a lot of lots that are almost 3/4 of an acre. And I think this is a great place to build something. I'm sandwiched between a church, an apartment complex, and a parking lot. I think it's a pretty decent place to put something.
Any other last questions? Oh.
I was just curious where you presented this to city staff, and I was curious what they've said so far.
Great question. I've gotten mixed reviews from city staff. I've got a couple people who said that they would love to see something like this. And then I have heard that it's not part of the city plan or the neighborhood plan. And so they can't give me the recommendation. So I've had mixed reviews.
Okay, so you're not planning on building this for 5 years.
Correct.
So what is the plan for the next 5 years?
With the rezone, it would make the current house that has 3 kitchens a legal triplex.
Oh, so you're trying to make what's already there legal.
Correct.
Okay, and that's not legal right now.
It's not illegal. It's a legal single family home.
And is it being rented currently?
It is to a single family, and I have a license for that.
Thank you.
I believe you're not too far from public transit and some very good public transit. They're trying to encourage that in the city. Is it really necessary to have so many parking spaces?
It's a great question, but I think this would help accommodate all of the parking on the street. If you go down that road right now, it's packed with cars. They're all being rented. So I don't think I think we'd have a very minimal impact on the city. I think it would be a blessing to have more housing personally.
Okay, let's just do one more question. Mr. Colette has to run.
Okay, super quick. I just can't tell from looking at it, like those green spaces on the side, like how many feet deep are those? A lot of times with projects like this, I feel like the amount of green space is so small. It's more just like you can have a bush and it's not really home.
Yeah. Sorry, you're talking about the green spaces right here? Yeah, it's got a, I've got 20-foot setbacks on front and sides. Yep.
All right, with that, we will move on to the next presentation. Thank you so much for being
Thank you, everyone.
here.
Okay. And this one is also, while Corbin Church comes up, this one is also under review. So what you see tonight may possibly change before it goes to Planning Commission. Do we have Corbin Church? Do we have a planner that can maybe present this? Mr. Ardmore.
Okay, so this will be the first time I'm seeing these slides, just like all of you, so I'll do my best. All right. So this looks like a zoning map. You could see, all right, so the block in the very middle, that's half orange and half blue is the block we're talking about. The development plan is almost entirely in the blue, which is the RC zone. If we can go next slide, see what we got. Okay, so you've got the existing homes there on the west side of the block. You've got some vacant parcels in the middle and then a vacant parcel on the northwest. That all would be wrapped up in his concept plan with the rezone. There's the current zoning. Okay, and this is his concept plan. He'd be seeking a medium density residential zone. And adding these infill units through the kind of the alleyway in the middle that he would put through the middle of the block, and then adding the new twin home on the northwest corner, and then parking and open space. There's a nice aerial shot of it indicating what would be removed, and What else do we got, Rachel? Okay, we've got some elevations here. So I think this is an example of the kind of the concept he's looking at for his multifamily units. And that's it. So yeah, so this one is still under review. It's gotten one round of comments, I believe, so far, that Mr. Church is trying to revise to meet some stuff, revisions, comments, corrections, and then he'll resubmit and it will go back through a staff review. We hope to eventually put this out to the Planning Commission and City Council.
I'm going to go ahead and ask a first question. Just to be clear, all of the current houses that I see in the picture are going to be preserved. Is that correct?
That was a big part of this. As he started speaking with Development Services, we made that a clear priority because that had been a priority of the Timp Neighborhood Plan. So he knows that he wants to preserve those and beautify them and use those as new units in his development plan.
So what is going to be added is one new home in the corner and then those townhomes in the back area. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's the twin home on the corner, and then he's got 4plexes and 3plexes. This might not be up to date. I think he's even looking at maybe a 5plex or 2 through there instead of a 4plex or 3plex. But yeah, all those would be multifamily through the middle and then preserving the existing single family homes. That some of them have been converted to additional units, so that use would stay, but the homes would for sure be preserved through this plan.
Other questions?
Is this considered since the developer didn't bother to show up, is this considered their neighborhood meeting? Okay.
I can speak.
Please.
With Aaron, I think the two of us will probably be able to answer questions, but we had a really great neighborhood meeting with the developer, Corbin Church, and a huge turnout from our neighborhood. And the majority of our neighborhood was favorable. We're so happy to see this property with these existing homes being kept through Provo City. They have to be owner occupied homes. And that is desperately needed in our neighborhood. Sorry, didn't mean to mess that up. So from the neighborhood, from the neighbors that attended the meeting, we saw this as a win for the neighborhood. There might be some little things that we'd like to see different, but the owner occupancy and preserving the homes that Ralph Reynolds purchased one by one over the course of about probably 30 years, him keeping those, renovating them, we're just ecstatic that can happen. And the only way that this project's probably not going to pencil out, but him doing those additional homes on the infill, those will be rentals, and that's a trade-off that that the neighborhood is willing to go with.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Two really quick ones. That picture you showed that shows the houses, how they're going to look, is that facing west or east, that shot?
This one here?
Yeah.
So this is just a concept elevation. I think this is indicating the interior multifamily units.
Yeah, but I'm saying from which side of that are you looking?
Oh, so go back to that.
The garage. So this is facing west, what we see?
So this would be
that's
facing
east.
that interior alley,
Oh,
that
okay.
facade.
And this is almost the same questions before, but you said something about the houses that exist being Provo City will make them be owner occupied. What exactly does that mean? The question about the mechanism again.
So that's done through CC&Rs, because there would be an HOA here, most likely, for the majority of the units, and then through deed restrictions on those single properties on each deed.
But is it
restriction to keep it all rock. So the deed restriction gets recorded on the title, and then anybody that purchases the property, they can't rent it for that first year, and each new buyer has that same condition. Yeah, typically that's the way it's been done on past rezones. Yes.
I just live in, this is not a question, this is a comment, because I live in this neighborhood and went to the neighborhood meeting. And I just want to say another thing that was exciting to us was that these would be like 2 or 3 bedroom, the infills, and our neighborhood is just has so many 1-bedroom apartments, and it's just nice to have a little bit of a mix in there as well. So.
Two questions from the same person on Zoom. The city plan requires the sidewalk to be widened when there's development on 300 West, but Mr. Church may not be able to make that happen as part of his development. Is there a way the city would be willing to offset the cost of the sidewalk widening?
So that is a good question. It's a point of discussion through the review right now. They're working that out with engineering, determining what sections would have to be improved to the 6-foot walk and what could be preserved because there's no development occurring adjacent to them.
Okay. And then second question, can the city consider the placement of a stop sign on 200 North? There have already been numerous close calls at that intersection and the development will be adding new traffic.
On that one, I'd follow up with Vern Kiesler, traffic engineer.
Aaron, we have a bet going on back here. In that alleyway there, what are those white things with the bushes sticking out? We've got pet cemetery, we've got parking stall.
Landscape islands. So he's still working through the requirements for parking lot landscaping, and I think he's indicated that those should be landscape islands to get to some of those standards that we're trying to meet.
Because everybody plants trees instead of concrete?
Well, no, those would be landscaped
Okay.
with curbs around them and then trees planted in the middle.
And then that's intended for parking, or is that intended? to make
Yes,
the
that's
road
intended for
one-way?
parking.
And then that'll be a one-way road?
It looks to be.
Okay,
on
and then
this
those
concept.
garages, 1
Mhm.
or 2 car,
Um,
those look awfully tiny.
go back to the elevation. If you could, sorry.
Like I said, we got a lot of bets going on back here.
Yeah, those look like single car garages to me.
So
But those
they-
are details that are still getting worked through the concept plan, of course.
So what is our parking requirement for this? Is it 2 parking spaces per unit?
On the multifamily, it depends on the bedrooms. So a studio or 1-bedroom would be 1.5, a 2 or 3 bedroom would be 2.25.
And this is how many bedrooms?
I just heard that a lot of them are 2 or 3 bedrooms. Sorry, I'm not the planner over this one, so I'm just putting together what I can.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Planner, there's a lot of us here that are new or that have been around a while. And you're in the city, right?
I work for the city.
Okay. Why don't you run down the process of approval to this development so we all know,
Oh, sure.
you know, the vetting process? You know, I mean, it looks great. What can we say? I mean, it's still in review. And, you know, we don't want to be harsh. We want to be really polite and whatnot, but let us know the process. So when it does come down to push and shove, and if there is something that, you know, with the parking or something, you know, what's going to stop that?
Yeah, happy to do that. So Rachel's put up the nice friendly slide for us. We're under review. We're going through a staff review. That's probably going to happen a couple more times. A project of this scope, it usually takes 2 or 3 reviews to get to a point where staff feel comfortable taking it to the public hearing. So right now we're in that staff review. Next, we'll go to the. Let me get to that. Next is planning commission. So it'll go to a planning commission hearing where the planning commission will review both the zone change and the concept plan. They'll make a decision on the concept plan. They'll recommend a decision on the zone change to the municipal council. So then the council will see the zone change. and make a decision on that. If they approve it, the applicant would have to come back with a full set of project plan, your architectural plans, your civil plans, landscape plans, and to show that he can meet the code of the zone that was just given to him by the city council. And then after that, he could start to get permits. Planning Commission and City Council.
Okay, they're the ones that really decide that. The
Right.
city
That's
council.
where everybody in this room is welcome and encouraged to come and
Oh, we can go to the
respond.
city meeting.
The Planning
and
Commission and the City Council
tell them.
meetings. Yep,
Okay, so that's, okay. Thank you.
of course.
Just a quick recommendation, if you want to let the planning commission or city council know your thoughts on it, it's best not to wait until their evening meeting, but email them in advance, let them know your thoughts beforehand, so they have more time to think about it.
Any other questions regarding this proposal?
Do we already know what the price range for those owner occupied homes will be?
I don't have that.
Going once, anything on Zoom? Going twice? Thank you for your time tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ardmore. Okay, and while Brett Nelson is coming up, this one again is still in the review process. And it has to pass all the reviews before it can be scheduled for a public hearing. And so that's why we don't know the dates on these yet.
And that's where I come in, is to learn more about the entitlement process and the individual areas and the feelings of the neighborhood toward it and stuff like that. I work as a consultant to the for-hire developing general contractor that would be building the proposed units. I would like to start out with one question. Mayor, can we move this about 3 miles up Rock Canyon? I would be more comfortable and I would sweat less. Yeah, that's right. That's my first place for feedback. So, and I used to live in this district. No longer. I've been looking for Liz Maxfield, my former neighbor, to see if she's here. And the proposed property, I still take my cars to Larson Automotive. Familiar with Christensen Oil. I know Kelly Thurgood. I'm pretty familiar with that neighborhood. And as I reviewed what was being proposed when I was brought onto the project, was what are we looking at ultimately for overall density relative to what the other lots have done? Because this is the holdout property. It's the only one that's still an occupied single family detached residence. Some of them are homes that have been converted, but the number of units on the property appears to me to be probably more dense than what we're proposing. So I thought that would probably be pretty favorable. So this meeting will tell us a lot. I think you can see there right behind Christensen Oil where this property is located. If we could advance this slide then. We're basically asking this to go from the residential conservation zone, which would give us some options, but the owner's desire was to demolish and rebuild, and so we're asking for the low density. Next slide. And it was advised to us, I think by Aaron's office, that for our purposes, the differences between a low density residential versus a very low density residential zoning would have zero impact on what we were seeking. Originally, the owner, I believe, was expecting to be able to maybe stack some apartments on that unit, which would be kind of commensurate with what had happened across the street. And members of your planning department have basically come back and said, you can anticipate that, one, that's not really an allowable zone change based upon the neighborhood code. Secondly, you're going to get a lot of opposition, but if you stick to 4 units, we believe that will be pretty suitable to everybody. So from a site plan standpoint, this is what's being proposed. We have the, as you'll see on the elevations, we have the garages, and we also have additional parking. I have noticed when I spend time in that neighborhood that parking right there along 500 South does tend to get pretty congested at the curb, and we don't want to add to that. We think we've taken care of that in this proposal. Just some other pictures, the properties that you're probably familiar with. And once again, the subject property is the only one that has not had the unit subdivided for multi-tenant rental. I think we have one more slide. Is that correct? And there's our elevation. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was the general contractor's advice to the owner of the property that that we could move to construction. We were hoping before the first snows fell, so that we could do excavation, putting in the footing and foundation, getting the rough plumb taken care of. I don't know that that's possible under the circumstances. The owner of the property had been trying to communicate with the city in a way that apparently shows a little bit of ignorance towards the scheduling for the planning commission meetings, for the city council meetings. And apparently the team had spun their wheels a little bit. They like to think they would have already been under construction. To save time, however, he has decided he feels that he's financially capable of building 4 units and putting them out for rent, but it is his intention apparently to then, during construction or soon thereafter, to apply for a subdivision plat. So there will be 4 individual lots so that he can sell 2 of the units, enjoy that cash flow, and hold 2 of them as long-term rental for income for his family. So with that, and you're understanding my relationship with the owner and with the developing contractor, I welcome you to shoot the messenger. This would be a fun little project for me. I would enjoy being principally involved in something like this, but I'm not. So, but I'm happy to take your questions best I can.
I have a quick question on that elevation there. Is that showing a basement of some kind, or is that just going to have a foundation and be done?
That would just be showing elevation of footing and foundation levels, depending on the weight load there and other factors.
Okay, so no basement.
No, I've not been instructed that there's a basement level on these.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Karen sparks the questions in me. So are these going to be 3-bedroom units, or?
I'm told 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe 2.5.
And so when we're renting them out, are we renting them out to students?
No, my understanding is that they would be rented out to families. I've not heard student housing brought up in any of the discussions that we've had. So
Because I'm thinking with 4 visitor parking, when it comes to party night or toga night, that's not going to be enough. So 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage, no driveway. And how far is it to Christensen? Is that what you said? Yeah. The backyard is Christensen Oil or Sinclair?
to the south of the property, which is the short dimension on the property. So yes, they do touch, but I don't remember the exact dimensions of the lot, but I think it's less than 60 feet.
All right.
And we are meeting, what's been proposed here does meet all the setback requirements as per city code. And we're working on a landscaping plan now. But due to the desired turning radiuses into people's garages, most of, as you see here in gray, what's presented is that we have to put down a fair amount of concrete.
Oh, so they will have driveways right there on the side?
Yeah, everything in gray at the bottom is driveway space so that they have suitable turning radius to get in and out of their garages without dinging their neighbors' cars. And because of our setback requirements. So the dimensions have been tailored for the setback requirements for that zoning.
So if they
Other questions?
Two things. One thing real quick, looking at what is that in front of the housing units, that the part that's not gray on the top view?
Just green?
Not that, like where you actually enter the houses, like yeah, there. What is that going to be?
I'm presuming that will just be a little landscape cut out between the drive concrete and the
that's
patio.
Landscaping. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because yeah, it does seem like an enormous increase in hardscaping on the property. That is the concern I guess I'd have, but okay, well, that's my main question for now.
If I could just lead off that and say that as a consultant who's been asked to get feedback so they know, what they can do and what would please the city and please the neighbors. Now that we're looking at putting together a landscape plan, if anyone here has recommendations as to whether they're more concerned about water conservation, would like to see xeriscape, or whether they'd like to see mowable strips, bring it up with me. That's my job, is to take that information, that feedback back to them. So, yes.
You said earlier that talking to staff, I may be getting this wrong, so correct me if I'm getting this wrong. But you spoke with staff and they said that the difference between low density residential and very low density residential didn't matter on this plot. It wouldn't make a difference.
If the goal was 4 units, which the city had suggested that in as much as we would have to apply for a zone change, 4 units is really the max we would be able to get on the property anyway.
Okay.
Then we figured, well, let's apply for the less restrictive, but we're not planning on adding any units. It just didn't seem to make a difference, because my recollection is dimensionally, the gross square footage per unit is either identical or almost virtually the same between the two, the low density residential and the very low residential density. So when we go to actually subdivide, so each of these can be separately owned, fee simple title, it would have no bearing. Okay. Based upon my analysis of the zoning code, and I'm sure Aaron will be happy to correct me if I've jumped to an inappropriate conclusion. My memory for that was that the low density residential and very low density residential, the only difference between them were the densities, and I thought all of the other restrictions were the same, and it makes me feel more I'm less anxious when I hear someone asking for a very low density residential, because the density matches what's already there. Generally, it matches the R16, and so it just seems that there's been times where people have shown us great plans and they get a rezone, and then they decide to do something different, but they have the rezone, and so they can the plans sometimes change, and so just having that very low density residential can be a little bit more kind of comforting that way. And then the other thing, I'll be real quick about this. You talked about landscaping and suggestions or whatever. Like, my biggest thought is, the public interface is it's on the road on, I guess that would be 500 South. More than like whether that's xeriscaped or grass or whatever, I would just say, can we make it look presentable, that it addresses the street rather than looks just like the side of a house with utilities stuck on the sides. I think, to me, that the interface with the neighborhood is more important coming from that street view. So if that's something you can pass along, that how it presents itself makes a difference. When I saw this proposed site plan myself, my immediate impression was great to have some green space there on the north side of the property to buffer it from the street, but it's also nice to have an equal amount of green space at the back where the children can play, where they're not right there on the sidewalk and at the street. But I can take these things to them and I can share my own ideas, but that was my first impression. It seemed to be a suitable compromise. Admittedly, there's not a lot of space remaining, but and part of that again is the desire to have proper, charitable turning radiuses into the garages, because neighbors hitting each other's cars don't really make very good neighbors sometimes.
More than just the landscaping, but also just how the building looks.
Yeah.
From the street.
How does the building look from the street? Does it look like the side of a house with utilities on it, or does it look like, just how does it present to the street, that the house, less so the landscaping and more so how does the building look?
Okay. And by the way, one of the members of the developing general contractor is on the Zoom call listening, so he's probably taking a lot better notes than I am right now. So, Aaron?
Yeah, if I could, just to go off David Harding's comments there.
Yeah, please.
To clarify some things, yes, the very low density residential zone would be limited to 7 units per gross acre, while the low density is limited to 12 units. So it does afford you the opportunity to get additional units as your concept plan shows here.
So to educate me
And
on that
then-
though, it sounds to me then that your calculations, when you talk to Mr. Nutkin, basically lead to say because of the specific size and dimensions of this lot, 4 is what you're going to get regardless of which
No,
zoning.
I'm
you
saying based on
choose,
your
correct?
concept plan, based on your proposal, you would have to ask for the LDR instead of the VLDR.
VLDR would.
The VLDR would not work for this proposal. So I
Oh,
just want to
okay.
clarify that. And then
Okay.
to address the design standards that Mr. Harding alluded to, this does not yet meet those. So things like fronting the street and things like front yards and front door facing the street, front doors not facing a side property line, a fence line, or parking lot. These are design requirements that are in the code that the applicant would have to meet before moving on to the public hearings.
And we've been anticipating that feedback from the city. And when you say that, it strikes me right away that one potential good change for this property could be to flip that streetmost unit, put the garage on the inside and a door towards the street. I mean, I can certainly propose that and see how the owner receives it. You know.
Any other questions?
Sorry, be super quick. I just want to actually just reinforce what David said because I drove by up and down the street a couple times yesterday just to see, and it's very lovely, really. And to have this side of a long string of these houses, like it just seems like a piece of a totally different concept of a development just shoved in there. And it didn't seem like that. It just didn't seem appealing, to be honest. So that how it fronts the street is hugely important, I think. But also I'm just one thought. From what I understand, there's 12 bedrooms in this, and if they're meant to be rented, I just think the potential number of cars that could be, especially if you know singles are there and they might share a bedroom, whatever. I mean, you could have a whole lot of cars that you're adding there. You know, especially if you're opening it to rentals.
Well, heard and delivered. Again, my understanding is they intend to rent these to families, not to students or.
I don't know. There's no law that says you random.
And when you desire that, that's one.
We work on it. Yeah, there is a limit. There should be a limit of 3 unrelated in a rental like that. And yeah, there are abuses that happen and they are getting regularly reported within the neighborhood.
My closing comment would be this. This is one reason why your relationships with city councils is such a precious thing.
Any further questions?
Only 2 arrows. That's awesome.
Okay.
But I didn't get applaud before I ended, so.
Well, thank you very much.
You set a
for
high bar
coming
with that
tonight.
last one. Thank you.
Okay, our last planning item, this is the informational presentation on the MTC. This is still in the idea phase. No application has been submitted, no reviews have been done. This is very early in the process, but they just wanted to come and speak to the residents. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Feinberg. I'm an architect with ZGF Architects. And did I push a funny button all of a sudden? Okay, good. So we just wanted to come share with you what's being proposed for the MTC. We have some buildings which are getting older and deemed to be replaced. So this is, I'll try to do the side saddle. Look at this. So this is the existing site plan, if you're familiar with the MTC. And let's see, will this work? This is the S1 building. You might know it as the 1M building previously. This is a combination building. It's the cafeteria as well as administration. And so this is the way it exists today. These are some buildings that were done about 7 or 8 years ago, teaching buildings. So the proposal is to, sorry, I want to face you, but I also want to look at this. So what we're trying to do is keep the MTC fully in operation while we do these renovations. So what that means is that in the S1 building, we're going to keep the existing cafeteria operational and remove half of it to create a building site for the new cafeteria. And then when the new cafeteria is operational, we will then demolish the rest of the existing. And through this process, we also want to create a new administration building. So now we'll have a cafeteria building, and then an administration building will be separate from that. And that is the T2 building here. And along with that, there's a lot of site work that's being looked at and developed. Lots of interesting ideas from a landscape standpoint. So this is a view of the new cafeteria building from basically when you enter the MTC from 900 East. And then you can see on the left there a piece of the new administration building. They're connected by an arcade, and that is a view of the new administration building. And you can see here, these are some meeting spaces in this part, and the part above it, and the majority of it is office space in that location. So I was told to keep this to 5 minutes. And so that is all the information that we have today. It's 4 slides, so we can open it up for questions if anybody has any.
So I'm looking at the plan here, and I'm not seeing any of those old mature trees that are there at the MTC. Is the plan to get rid of those?
For a lot of these renderings, we have views without the trees, so we actually can see what the building looks like. But if I showed you the images with the trees, then you wouldn't really see the building. So the intent is to keep as many of those trees as possible. In fact, I don't think the plan is to take any of those trees that buffer that are along 900 East.
Not just the ones along 900 East, but farther in, especially those really big mature oaks. So if you go in the main entrance, they're on the right. So in this picture, it would be just along the top left side of that S1.
Yeah, we're not touching those.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're trying to keep anything that we do, we're trying to stay away from that area to preserve those trees. Yes.
I appreciate it. I am personally invested in those trees.
We should all be personally
invested.
invested.
I did a lot of work on those myself.
Okay.
Also, I noticed the big open area in the middle that was just put in the last decade is being eaten into by that T2. So the big oval that we have now in the middle, that's getting taken away now.
Yes, and that was, there were 5 teaching buildings that were taken down as part of a previous phase, and that oval was put in there as a temporary measure until the next phase of development occurred. So yes, if you've grown attached to the oval, you may want to pay your respects because it will be going away.
I see. Feel bad for all those London plane trees that got put in there then, but thank you.
So simply for the benefit of brevity, my name's Sharon Mehmet and I live in the District 1 area. If you look at this map, all those cute little rectangles at the bottom off of your elevation Nope, keep going south. Or west, sorry, west.
West.
Off of your elevation. There, all your cute, all of those homes are in my district. None of my neighbors are here to hear your presentation. They would love to hear this presentation. And our meeting's October 1st, and I'd love to invite you to come to that. Because a couple of them heard that this was coming and actually asked me to ask about turning some lights off in the classrooms at nighttime when they aren't being used anyway. And I forget what the other one was, but I'm sure those neighbors will remember if they could. Oh, it was a parking overflow issue that when your teachers come to teach frequently, it's very early in the morning, and they park at Print and Mail, which you may not be familiar with, but it's part of the BYU campus. And then when the Print and Mail people come to work at 9, they don't have parking. So they're overflowing into the neighborhood. So that's another neighborhood concern for our District 1 area. So again, we'd love to invite you to come to our neighborhood and present this, because I think some people would be really excited about it and what's coming, but they'd like to give some input or just hear about what the plan is and timeline possibly.
Thank you.
One of the hazards of having a project that's right on the edge of a neighborhood district. Sorry.
When I see it, I see a bunch of rectangles. And I'm not an architect, but I've been around and I've seen some beautiful architecture. And so I'm asking for a little Floyd Wright or, you know, Mies van der Rohe, something a little, you know, different than what I'm seeing. I see a lot of rectangles.
Yeah, the campus itself is pretty orthogonal. We've tried to introduce more organic shapes in as part of the landscape. So kind of they work together. You have kind of the continuity of the orthogonal buildings, but yet then it's complemented by curves and more gentle organic shapes in the landscape. And so I appreciate what you're saying. But also we're looking at, you know, building efficiency and how that all works together. So.
Talk about it and whatnot, but I'm just, and it's without the trees, you know what I mean? The pictures, I'm sure with the trees in there would look, you know, but maybe levels, you know, like something like that. I don't know exactly, but you know, something rectangle levels would be really cool.
Interesting. Thank you.
So I am from this neighborhood, I guess. I represent the university neighborhood. And to say, unsurprisingly, we are in full support of what the church wants to do in our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Just a couple of little things. I know this is still in the idea phase and it's very early. Just wondering if you had considered or to what extent you are considering making sure that the buildings are earthquake safe and making sure that they are energy efficient.
Yes, that is a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. One of the reasons that where this project came from originally is because these buildings, the older buildings, are not seismically at the best level. And we know more
being that way.
What's that?
I remember them being that way when I was there.
So yes, all these new buildings will be built to the current codes, obviously. And we're trying to build in as many energy saving features as we can. The buildings that were done on the South Campus, I believe they were LEED Gold. So I believe we may be trying to achieve something similar to that.
Good to hear. Thank you. Are there any further questions?
I love this. Keep asking questions.
Gets me my exercise.
There, I'll raise my hand again. Okay. All right. So the bridge that connects the administration building to the cafeteria, is that like glassed off? Is that like a walkway or is it just, is it a
It's
bridge?
just
Is it functional? Is it just architectural decor?
no. It is a covered walkway that connects it. You cannot walk on top of it. It's not an elevated walkway.
And there's no windows or anything, no glass, it's just
It's
covered.
completely open. Yes.
And then I'm assuming that's a cafeteria building.
Yes.
Those lines on the windows, is that supposed to be blinds or is that some kind of?
Those are exterior sunshades to cut down on the south facing glare and heat gain.
Okay. And then on the bottom, it's just open doors and windows and.
Yeah, it's mostly
Bottom.
glass along that elevation. Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
So if everything was perfectly aligned, when would you hope to start?
Start construction, I suspect you're asking. Well, there's a lot of what we call enabling work that has to take place before we can even think about starting construction on these new buildings. So I believe that some of the demolition may start, selective demolition may start maybe later this fall. And probably construction of the new cafeteria building may start, let's say, the middle of next year or thereabouts.
I was just curious, am I looking at this from 9th East or from the north or the south? What am I looking at here?
You're looking at it from 9th East, but you've already entered the campus. So you're past the guard shacks and the security measures. So this is the view that you see when you as you come in.
Any further questions?
And what about something like that on one of the buildings?
We looked at a lot of precedents for these buildings, and we're trying to walk this fine line between a contemporary building, but also something that is timeless as well. And I worked on the conference center, so we use that as a precedent a lot because there's something about that building that is timeless in a way. So we're trying to create something that really doesn't call a lot of attention to itself necessarily, but yet it's going to be there for a long time, and it's dignified and durable and appropriate.
Any further questions? Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Now that we have finished with the planning items, our next topics are we'll have a presentation on the University Avenue Bridge construction, which I am very excited to hear about. After that, we'll have a discussion with Tom Spencer about noise ordinances. So first, University Avenue Bridge construction.
Okay. Hi, I'm Wyatt Woolley. I'm the communications manager for UDOT Region 3, which is Utah County in this area. This is Andy Spencer. He is the project manager for this bridge, and he's going to keep me on track, make sure I stay factual here. So does anyone know how old this bridge is, the viaduct? It is 60 years old this year, and it has reached the end of its lifespan, and we have to replace it. It's been a 4-year process. Can you go to the next slide?
Oh, I went the wrong direction.
It's been a 4-year process. We started in 2021 with our traffic study and also inspecting the bridge. And our structures department realized we have to replace it. It's just time. So we went through the planning design phase, and now we're here. We have a contractor on board, and we're going to start the project in a couple weeks in October. So you'll see at the beginning of October, you'll probably see some signs out there and some Jersey barrier, and we're going to be painting some lines and stuff. I don't think there's going to be major demo work until a little later.
Yeah, you won't, excuse me, you won't, you got to get real close. You won't see a lot of the traffic lane restrictions until a little later in October, maybe early November, but the contractor will start bringing equipment to the job site. There's a number of utilities that have to move, as you can imagine. There's a lot of utilities that surround the bridge, and the bridge is getting a little wider, and so we do have to do some utility relocations, but we don't have an exact schedule on exactly when the lanes will be affected, but it'll be likely late October, early November, right in that phrase, right in that area.
Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to start with the west side, and that's going to take a year, demolition, build it back up, and then we'll start, and then we'll move to the other side, the east side. So we're going to keep it open, one lane each direction. I want you to all keep note of that here. That's very important that you realize there's only one lane. I would tell all your friends and neighbors and everyone, don't try to go across the Provo Bridge if you don't have to. All right, go ahead. This is what it looks like. Hopefully we're all on the same page here. Go ahead. This is what the new bridge will look like. So as you can see, you won't be able to drive on the west side anymore, but there's going to be a walking path. We're going to have 8-foot wide sidewalks, a full bike lane, 2 lanes each direction, and the same with the bike and walk. I don't know about you guys, but 26 years ago when I was at BYU and I rode my bike across this bridge, I never did it again. It was so scary. It's just so scary. There's a question in the back.
Do you plan on fixing the east side before that's the only place that they can drive on? There's some really crappy potholes and things that you're driving on. Are you going to fix those so that it's safe to drive on for that year when it's all by itself?
So when you say the east side, you're talking about the east side of the existing bridge.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one of the actually first things you're going to see is a little bit of repair on the existing portions of the bridge, or let's say the east side. The portion will remain for that year. I don't want to oversell this. We're not going to turn it from what it is now into what it will be, but we do need that to function well for the next coming year, right? And so you will see some efforts to ensure that that is safe for people to continue to drive on, but it's probably not going to be a nice smooth pavement, but we will fix it sufficient that it will last for the year.
My other question, sir, is will you please put a no left turn sign on the end of the bridge coming towards where the UVX stop is? So when you come down off the bridge into Provo, there are people who are constantly turning left there into the side streets. And I watched an accident there a week ago, and it wasn't just like a little fender bender. It was like a disaster. And but you have to be able to, you come down off the hill and there's all of a sudden there's this like line of cars and it's really bad. I live in that neighborhood and it's really ugly. People trying to turn left there.
Some of the conditions as it pertains to the accesses and where you can turn when you're coming over the bridge are going to change. We're actually going to go over that in a minute, and it will actually be a little bit different. I think you're talking about the 4th South intersection, if I understood correctly. It's going to be a little different post-project than it is today, and we have a slide that'll go over that here in just a minute.
Well, why don't we have you finish going through your slides before we take more questions?
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. So this is a side profile of the current bridge, what it looks like today. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is what the new side profile will look like. As you can see, those MSC walls, which stand for mechanically stabilized earth walls, are going to fill in that gap underneath. So you're not going to be able to go underneath there. You're not going to be able to park under there. Nothing's going under there anymore. The betterment, you see all the fence posts and the lights, that's all Provo City reached out to us and said, we want to make it look nice. We want these posts, we want lights, and so we're going to do that as well.
Like that.
What's that?
Let's just highlight on the backing pad features. We kind of already talked about it, but
yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and go to the next. All right, here we go. This might be hard to see. There's going to be a lot of different lane restrictions and things during. This is during the project or right after?
This is after.
This is after the
This is right
project. So
after.
there's going to be some changes.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over this?
I'll go over them. Okay, so today, at 500 South, if you're on the bridge, you can make a left turn onto 500 South. You can also make left turns across University Avenue at 500 South. Post-project, those movements are not going to be allowed. So if I were going south on University Avenue, I'd be able to make a right turn into 500 South, and I'd be able to make a right turn out of 500 South. I won't be able to turn left across University Avenue, nor will I be able to come northbound on the bridge and turn left to go west. Similarly, if I'm going north on University Avenue, when I get to 500 South, I'm not going to be able to make a right turn. That movement's going to be taken away. So in the graphic, the movements that are shown in the red, or the red arrows, are the ones you won't be able to do. The blue arrows are what you will be able to do. And so you will be able to turn from 500 South north, or make a right turn from 500 South and go north. And if you're on the little frontage road on the east, you'll be able to merge onto University Avenue, or you'll be able to turn right onto 500 South, but you will not be able to make any type of left turn movement out of 500 South. Now, because those left turns are going away, to address the point that was raised earlier, there will actually be a dedicated left turn at 400 South. And so that island that is there now will be removed. The inside-most lane will be for the buses, will be for the UVX buses, and then the left turn will be next to it. So it'll be much like a lot of the other left turn pockets down the corridor, but that will, so that's why I say it will be different. There will be a dedicated phase for it. So this kind of represents some of those changes. The other changes that aren't represented on this slide is down on the south end of the bridge. If you were in the front runner lot today, you can take that somewhat teardrop shaped or hairpin turn shape to get out to University Avenue. That is going away. So that will no longer be an option. So if you're going to go to the front runner lot, you're going to have to go down to 920 South and then turn in via the traffic signal and navigate back into the parking lot. It's always a delicate balance for us to balance mobility and safety. And these are some of the changes that we felt were necessary to improve safety all around. If you look at what we're doing with the bridge, we're improving the pedestrian safety, the bicyclist safety. And these are some of the changes we felt were necessary to ensure the motorist safety, as well as, ensure that there's adequate mobility, both for those that need to access side streets and those that need to continue on University. And it's always a balance for us, and we do the best that we can there.
All right, clear as mud there. So this is on our website, so you can study it to your heart's content and zoom out and go drive it and see what it looks like. But that's for the future when it's done.
While you mentioned the website, we'll just make a pitch. We do have a flyer at the back, and we have some cards at the back. They both have our website on it, the project specific website. They also have an email, and so you can email in, you can be asked to add it to our contact list, and then you'll be getting the regular updates as traffic patterns change, as different things are needed to be shared with the public. You'll be on that list. So we would encourage you, please take a flyer, please take a card, and please sign up. We would love to get the information out to as many people as we possibly can. Our purpose and our point is to try and have as much good information and as quickly shared good information as we can possibly get. And that all comes through you all getting good information and you all being to share good information. So.
All right, so this is probably the most important slide we're going to show you in this next to our last. My director wanted to make sure everyone knew there are alternative routes to take to get through and around Provo and around this bridge project. As you can see, we do have green lines that go up through the middle because we are going to have a lane open. We've met with the Alliance several times to let all the businesses know in the area they're open, their accesses will be open. But we strongly encourage anyone, if you are trying to get from south, say from Spanish Fork or whatever, up to Center Street, you should stay on I-15. You shouldn't cut over on University Ave and up that way. Same thing if you're coming down to go around. And we also worked with Provo City to allow us to let us use Lakeview Parkway as an alternative route. And I think, aren't we adding an extra turn lane at State Street?
We're going to be doing some additional improvements at the intersection of Lakeview Parkway and State Street to try and help that intersection function a little better, as there will be some additional traffic diverted through there. So we've been working with the city closely on that objective as well.
So we don't want any grandmas getting upset trying to get to BYU graduation and then get stuck in traffic. So please let everyone know about this in this project. The next page is our last slide, and that's just a QR code to our website. That's our website there, and there's flyers in the back. So that's all we have. The questions?
Start with Zoom, please.
Yes, I have one from online. Would you please explain for the public record why UDOT decided not to put a barrier between the bike lanes and other traffic lanes?
I'm going to go back to this picture here to answer that. There are a lot of things that we balance when we put together a project. We balance the competing needs of the traffic, the safety of the traffic, the need for additional pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and we balance what is the available property room, and if we go wider in our footprint, who do we affect, what impacts are there. And so while I very much respect that and respect the reason behind that question, we analyzed our options for the bridge, for the footprint, what could fit, what was most appropriate, what provided the best benefit in the footprint that could fit without substantial impacts. If you look at the pictures here that are on the screen, you'll notice there's not a lot of vacant properties on either side of the bridge. And so it is something where we tried to substantially live within our existing footprint and do the best that we could there, because if we grow outside of that footprint, then we begin to severely impact a lot of the adjacent properties.
I just want to add that we're limiting pedestrians walking across the bridge during the project. You're not. Don't try to do it. Same with bikes. Just don't do it.
Yeah, we unfortunately, with restricting the existing bridge to just half the bridge, it's just going to be a place that we would love to be able to accommodate them, but there's just not the space, and we just want to keep our place safe.
Yeah, go across the UTA bridge over that goes over the. It's actually a Provo bridge. Provo's bridge over the rail right there.
Got other questions?
Is there going to be room if there are more rail tracks that get laid down there? Will there be room to expand the rail under the bridge, or will the bridge have to be changed if there's more rail?
No, we've worked closely and quite extensively with UTA and with Union Pacific and with their long-term plans, and this bridge does work with their long-term plans and the rail facilities. And so that's actually part of the reason that it takes so long in the planning process, is that coordination with those entities.
Super quick, simple question, and maybe it was on there, I missed it. When is this supposed to be done?
That's a great question. I think it's shown on one of the slides, but we didn't talk about it. So we're basically looking at 2 years. We're looking at 1 year per side, with things wrapping up in the fall of 2027.
Just to make sure I heard that right. So no pedestrian or cyclist traffic will be allowed during construction?
So we can't prohibit cyclists from using the traffic lanes. If a cyclist wants to use the traffic lane, they'll be able to use the traffic lane. We would highly discourage it because things are going to be constrained. You know, with just, if you can imagine the existing bridge and us taking off half of it, and then we've got to protect you with a barrier, things are going to be fairly constrained going over the bridge. Cyclists can use the bridge. We are going to put up signs that do not allow pedestrians to use that sidewalk. And we are going to work with the city, and some of our website figures will provide some alternative routes where people can walk and be directed. You'll notice on the screen, other than times when it will be dangerous for people to go under the bridge at 600 South because, say, we're demolishing things or things could fall on you, there will be periods where it will be closed just because of that. Otherwise, 600 South will stay open, so you will be able to, say, go over to 100 East, come down, go under 600 South, get to the Provo Bridge, go to the Front Runner Station. We will work to ensure that there are alternate routes, but this is really just for pedestrian safety and for cyclist safety. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit constrained, and we just don't want anybody hurt.
Can we see the slide that shows the lanes and the widened sidewalks?
Sure. This is the slide you're referencing?
Yes, thank you. Wanted to look at it.
So this is our picture when it's done here, and I'll leave this up for a minute, and then we'll just go back to the picture when you're under construction, so you can kind of envision this. So when we're all said and done, you've got an 8-foot sidewalk each way over the bridge. You've got a 6-foot bike lane. You've got the 2 travel lanes, and when you're over the railroad tracks, you have a 10-foot fence, and then as you begin to come off the slope, then the fences get shorter. So it'll be a vastly more comfortable experience than the bridge is today, both for motorists and for cyclists. Now, during construction, is going to look like this, and we show a pedestrian there just for illustration purposes, but we are going to sign it no pedestrians. We just feel like we're going to have to scoot the traffic even closer to that existing walkway, and it's just not a place where you're going to want to be as a pedestrian.
Yeah, can you please explain why you've chosen not to build off-site and then bring the bridge in, like you've done in other places in the state? That seems like it would be significantly better than what you're proposing currently.
We would actually love to do that if we could in this location. You've got 2 big hurdles to that. Number one, we have chosen, as you can see here on the slide, to right now, the bridge is about 14 individual bridges, right? And it comes off and you've got 14 individual bridges. We've chosen to fill in those ends, if you will, with soil and with walls. And so there'll only be openings over the railroad tracks and over 600 South. So because of that, just the sheer process of bringing in that fill doesn't allow us to then, just kind of let traffic flow and quickly move in the bridge. The other thing is, to move in those bridges, you've got to have a relatively smooth surface to bring those in, and you've got to have you've got to be able to do it all night. I don't know if you've ever watched the old them bringing those bridges, and those wheels roll like the slowest you've ever, and you're looking at them going, boy, are they moving? It takes a long time to bring those in. It would be very difficult with the railroad for us to schedule not only the bumpiness of the tracks and whatever, but to schedule enough time to come in and build a smooth surface, to wheel that bridge in, and then wheel that bridge out there. That would be virtually impossible for us to be able to do. So that's the reason. We would love to do that and inconvenience.
It just
people
seems
less.
like it would be so much easier than being out of bridge for 2 years.
Oh, I agree.
No matter what the
100%.
hassle would be, it just seems like even the financial aspects would just be a better option. I've watched you do it all over the state.
Yeah.
And since before this meeting, I came and I watched the last couple that you've done. It just seems like it's a better choice than what you're doing right now. I mean, I understand the logistics, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
As a
we would have
person who
done it
lives
if we
here-
could. We would have done it if we could. We can't.
Yeah. It just, the logistics didn't work in this location, but we agree. It's actually, for us as well as the public, it's much nicer to have less inconvenience. And we would be all over that if we just could. So.
I know it's been discussed, but I just want to see if it's a possibility in the future. Are you considering another bridge at 500 West
So
over the tracks?
at that point, 500 West is a city street, and there is a lot of discussion and study going on about that. But UDOT's jurisdiction changes on 500 West at Third, and so that is a city issue. And I know that the city is very actively, looking at that and analyzing, and it's in the long-term master plans. But I don't want to speak for the city, so.
A few things. First off, I very much appreciate widening the sidewalk and the bike lanes, and adding the fences. Secondly, you said you decided, because of space, not to put a physical barrier between the bike lane and the travel lane. I see there's a 2-foot buffer in there. Would it be possible to put some of those skinny plastic bollards in? Maybe not physical protection, but a little bit of a mental barrier for the people who are driving across.
Yeah. And it is possible. It's a balance. I'm going to go back. Sorry sorry, I'm trying to go the wrong direction in our slides. So it is possible, but as with most bike lanes, the shoulder also doubles as a refuge lane if you happen to break down, right? And so with this stretch having limited access, when I say this stretch, what I mean is the corridor, because you're basically from 920 South to 500 South. Once you're in this corridor post-project, you're not getting out, if that makes sense. You're going forward. So part of the problem with that is we do need to also leave some room so that there's a room for if your vehicle breaks for you to pull over, et cetera. And so that's part of that balance, right? Trying to find that.
Yeah.
that
Thank
mix.
you. And then for during construction, so it'll be closed to pedestrians, advised against for bicyclists. Will you have a clear signed detour, like actual signs on the roads for how to get around?
As far as for the bicyclists
For bicyclists and pedestrians, yes.
We're still working through our traffic control plans and our pedestrian routing plans with the contractor. And so I don't have specific answers on that, but we are very mindful of the need to safely and effectively advertise to the active transportation users that there's another route that's better. So I don't have a specific answer for you that says, yes, we're going to put exact sign here, we're going to put exact sign here. That's part of what we're working through over, the next month and a half. But we are mindful of the need and mindful of the fact that we want to make sure that people know where to go.
Thank you. And then you said Lakeview Parkway on Slate Canyon Drive area, you're doing something with that intersection.
Yeah.
Are there any plans in there? You don't have to go in detail. But I just wanted to ask for the record if there's going to be any plans in there to make it a little less dicey for people on bikes to traverse that intersection.
The improvements that we're doing with this project will preserve the existing bike lanes. When you say a little less dicey, I'd love to hear from you afterward to help me understand that. But for the most part, what we're trying to introduce is some additional turning lane storage and some additional turning lanes and a couple movements so that the queues won't be quite as long as we anticipate that the automobile traffic will be, that the pattern will be dominantly in the Lakeview to, I'm going to say northbound state, just areas north of that intersection. And then conversely, that right turn if you're going south or left turn if you're going north, that those movements are going to increase with the additional traffic, the detours, right? And so we're trying to do some additional improvements to help that work a little better.
Okay.
And technically Lakeview is a Provo City road, just so you know.
Yeah, we have been working closely with the city to try and do as many improvements as seem reasonable to help things work smoother. We know there's going to be impacts. And University Avenue is such an important road, and the bridge is such a key part of that We can't say there won't be impacts. We just are trying to do all we can to lessen them.
Yeah, I want to say that I really appreciate what you guys are doing by looking ahead. I would even say put a couple more lanes in it, you know, but okay, at least you're looking ahead and it's going to be, you know, secure in 10, 20 years. Okay, here's my question. Tell me a little bit about the railroad situation and this front runner going down to Payson and, you know, down south to St. George.
You're looking more long-term plans of the railroad, or are you looking kind of
That front runner is UTA, so that's the Utah Transit Authority. We do work with them. I do know that they have plans to have a stop at Spanish Fork and at Payson was their end. So they want to add a couple more stops, and they're working with us with the interchanges that we want to add on I-15 and improve to connect to our routes. Well, this is the current stop. The stop right here is the end of the line for front runner. So they want to continue it. Yes. It's all about moving people.
That sidewalk there, is that just for pedestrians? Is that going to be mixed use, kind of like how on 500 West we have that really wide sidewalk that's mixed use, but then we also have a bike lane?
Yeah, the sidewalks will be mixed use.
Okay.
What you typically find is you're very confident bikers will take the bike lanes,
Right.
and those that are either less confident or maybe parents with children, et cetera, they'll be on the.
So I ride my bike on the road, and I tell my kids to get on the sidewalk.
Right. No, I mean, I do things like that too. So I just wanted to make, I mean, obviously the children can ride on the sidewalk anytime, for the record. That
You
is the
can
law.
too if you're
and I can ride
nervous.
with them on the sidewalk. That is also the law. But anyways, I was just wondering it because I was concerned that when you start the bridge, you can't see if there's going to be a car pulled over like in the lane on the other side since it goes up. So that's great that it's mixed use. Thank you.
I'm just wondering if the median is a solid median or just a painted median.
It's a painted median right now. We have had some requests, at least one, and she's raising her hand right now to change that to something more. But you can. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, but just for it's in the public record that some reflective bollards or something, they don't need to be wide, but something that would deflect lights as they're coming at me.
The reflection things, I know what you're talking about, that are in the road. The ones that stick up, we can't do in Utah because it snows and our plows come through and scrape them off.
Oh no, I'm talking about the 3 feet high.
The three, okay, so
She's talking about the flexible delineators.
well, there's a couple reasons why that doesn't happen in certain areas like this is because we got to also think of emergency vehicles getting around and sometimes having to go in the middle to get around cars to get to an emergency. So we have to consider that as well.
Okay, and I can appreciate that. I just know as she mentioned, as you're coming up and over that bridge, sometimes your oncoming lights. I appreciate what you've done on I-15 over Point of the Mountain where that's gotten higher enough. I don't have the oncoming lights in my face. So I would appreciate
With the
something-
barrier?
I mean, that's a concrete barrier and I appreciate
Yes.
you don't have room for that here. But the reflective bollards, I would feel like an emergency vehicle could drive over them if needed because they seem temporary in nature. As I mentioned, I realize they would not prevent an oncoming car from taking me out, but they would at least keep his lights, keep us in our lanes and reflect their lights not in my face as I'm trying to drive over a bridge.
And at this point, all I can say is I acknowledge your point and I remember our conversation. And I don't have more to commit one way or the other at this point.
I am in favor of the pedestrian and the bike lanes, but there's a lot of growth coming. Would this bridge have to be rebuilt, or could it actually, if we eliminated those in 30 years, make it a 6-lane or an 8-lane bridge into the?
I think that's a question for the future to determine. Certainly there are options if future growth determines that there needs to be additional mobility, and we'll leave it at that. there are options that will have to be explored at that time. Yeah, structurally, the loads of the bridge are designed so that, you know, because we have to design it, because what if, I'm just looking at my picture here, what if that school bus breaks down and has to get out of the way? So structurally, we don't differentiate in that travel movement area, that, you know, as far as what is safe for a pedestrian, what's for a vehicle, because we need to be able to handle the vehicle loads. I mean, it's even possible that you know, anyway, you know how it is on a bridge. You might find a vehicle almost anywhere there. So
I just wanted to throw out that for a dozen years more, I've just heard about the great reputation of Region 3 for UDOT. And so thank you for communicating well with us. Thank you for accommodating the input from the communities. Just everything I've heard from knowledgeable people, Region 3 really is top notch. So thank you.
well,
Thank you. And I would just add about widening. We've talked about widening in all of our meetings as well. Can it handle wider? Can it handle wider? And I think that's great when we talk about transportation and population growth. But if you take that to the logical end and you think just north of this bridge, you have historic homes, historic downtown, those would all have to get wiped if we were ever to be wider. And that can't happen. We won't support it. So I don't see a need for us to fuss about this being so much wider.
Any further comments or questions? Yes.
I just have a question about the grade. Is it going to stay the same, or is it going to be more steep or less steep?
So the peak height of the bridge will be the same. When I say the same, I'm talking about where you drive, right? So this will have taller sides. You know, the barrier on the side will be taller than the ones that are there today. So it will look a little taller, but actually where the cars are driving at the peak height will be the same, but it is going to be a broader crest. So it'll start to ramp up just a little bit sooner. And so it'll be a little smoother to drive, but the peak height will be the same.
Anything else? Seeing nothing. Thank you so much for your time and for being here tonight. All right, Tom Spencer. We're a little late, but it's your turn.
I was gonna propose, since we're already over time, I'm fine if we postpone this to our next meeting. We've already lost half our people, but or would you like to continue with this? I don't know. I just really don't want to I like to end on time. I'm one of those people. I'm seeing somebody just did this, so I'm getting.
I will second your motion to continue.
To continue?
Sorry, to make it to postpone it to
till
next time.
There is an advantage to that, and one is I requested some information through a grant request, but I was it turned out I was told to request it through the police, but actually I have to request it through recorder's office, and I never got that back. And also our community outreach officer, I sent a series of questions to him, and I don't know why I haven't heard back yet from him either. So I would have fuller information next time, which could be useful. So is that okay? If somebody really wants to talk about it, though, I'll sit around and I've got my whole presentation. I can show it to you and we can talk about it. I will say one thing, though, before you leave, if you just want a sneak peek, I do have a list of an individualized list of every single sound complaint in Joaquin neighborhood, because that's mine for the last 3 years. It's quite interesting to look at, but I can show that next time when we get there. It helps give you a sense for what's going on.
Okay. Thank you. Just want to reiterate again that if you live in the Mountain View condominiums or the Meadow Park apartments, to please attend the meeting at Franklin Elementary School tomorrow night at 6 p.m. to talk about the front runner expansion. It will impact you. At this point we have a couple of minutes for public comment. If there is anything that needs to be said that has not yet been said, now's your chance. Here you go.
Okay, so I was asked to be here tonight to talk a little bit about the wrap tax in the public comment. So we don't want to take a whole long time for the presentation. Honestly, everyone else that we've visited with in all the other neighborhood meetings, it's a pretty big no-brainer. Hopefully, the word tax makes everyone panic. But the idea of the wrap tax is it's a penny on every $10, and this is tax that's used for recreation, arts, and parks. When you look at all the other cities in our county, every other city that has sales tax has a wrap tax. And the wrap tax that's collected, it's not as much a burden on the residents as it is on the large tourism industry that we have here in our community in Provo, being the seat for the county. It's on a 10-year cycle. This collects roughly $2 million per year, and this is what funds our parks expansion, our rec center. And I would just add, it's not just the money that funds parks and rec center and trails, but it's seed money that we're able to use to get matches from the state and from the federal government. That $2 million that's collected annually is stretched fivefold. It's really critical for our Parks and Rec department. I'm here as the executive director of the Downtown Business Alliance because we've decided this is something critical that we've endorsed. And the city staff isn't allowed to openly endorse things that are on the ballot. So we've stepped in to be the ones that can endorse this. So when the conversation comes up, hopefully you can educate your neighbors a little bit on what the wrap tax is. It's a penny on every $10 that's collected on sales tax revenue. Every other city in the county has it. We don't want to miss this opportunity to help continue funding our parks and rec. Yes. Yes, it's already in place. Correct. It's already in place. It's already been operating. It's been hugely successful, but every 10 years we have to re-examine and renew it. And so it is up for renewal right now. What other questions do we have? Anything? Okay. If I could, I'm building a movie theater right there, and we're going to break ground in about a month. Quinn Peterson. So me and a partner, Tom, we haven't really mentioned it yet. I mean, we've been talking about it for years. We purchased the property last summer. Just wanted you guys to know it'll be a single screen theater, roughly 84 seats. It'll be 3 stories tall. It'll have some offices and a couple apartments above the theater is the plan. It'll be an art house cinema. We'll do some first run screenings and then many traditional films and international films. We're building it in such a way that we can host Q&A, we can host festivals, we can host all sorts of different things for the film community in that space. So it is that empty lot there between the rental center and the Foxglove. That is the property, just so you know.
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't email about this before when I saw the program and didn't realize it. But at the last neighborhood district meeting, we voted to vote on traffic studies in this meeting.
Because of the many items on our agenda this meeting, the board members took an online vote on the traffic studies over email. Rachel, do you have any results from that are worth sharing at this point?
Yeah, I can't remember right off, but we have 3 more. We had 4 that we were considering. And the 3 we can still do this year. And then 1 will be pushed off to 2026, which could be January. So all 4 will be done pretty soon. It was just a matter of what order. But they'll all be done probably within the next 6 months. All of them that were talked about last time.
Are there any other public comments for this meeting? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for participating in democracy.